Hey everyone, this is Shepard. I'm not going to give you like a weird intro tutorial, like I'm just going to get straight into the skills, straight into the fights. If you've been struggling with Fatalis, got a bunch of things here that should help you out. Go back and pause on that screen there if you need to see it, but more or less a bunch of skills that you want to bring with you into the quest that will help you out quite a bit. First, and what you're going to see me demonstrate at the very beginning here is heavy artillery. Heavy artillery goes up to 2 points. It will double the damage of any sort of heavy artillery you use. So in this quest, it's primarily going to be cannons as well as the roaming ballista. Second is going to be evade distance. Evade distance is going to get you to be able to roll away a little bit farther. Fatalis has a lot of explosions that he'll lay on the ground and then they'll explode after a short amount of time. Really hard to evade normally, like iframes, because how the hell, when are you going to know to actually evade other than, kind of sort of near when they're glowing. And so what I'm doing here is I'm using the shield stooge on my cat to get Fatalis upset, so he'll run back there. And then I'm going to put on the Rocksteady mantle in order to be able to tank his attacks and go and hit him with these cannons. If I hit him with 7 cannonball shots, he's going to fall over, and I'll be able to do a bunch of combos on him. Back to some other skills that I have equipped. We also have fire resistance. Nearly every attack he's probably going to hit you with, outside of sometimes if he just falls on you, is going to be fire-based. So being able to have fire resistance on will not only prevent you, hopefully, from getting fire blight at all, but also have you take a lot less damage. Fourth, and this is a huge one, especially if you're doing the special assignment, you're still looking for your first Fatalis clear. Fortify, it's one point into 1 armor skill. Really helps a lot. Whenever you die, you get a huge boost to your attack and defense, and it stacks twice. And lastly, Part Breaker. So a lot of the things that we're going to be doing throughout the course of this quest is going to be trying to get 1 break on his head. If we get 1 break on his head, it'll make his 3rd phase. So he's got phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. It'll make his 3rd phase much, much easier to deal with. So we do that primarily 3 ways. One way was hitting up the cannons. Second way is through wall bangs. So when he's all on all 4s like that, you can spin him around, wall bang him into various things. Any part that's tenderized, so be it his head or his chest, will take additional damage. Thirdly, attacking it. I guess there's a 4th one too. The roaming ballista counts as well, but we won't get that until the 2nd phase. So that's what we're pretty much doing. We're going to be doing a lot of attacks on the head. Switch Axe and Insect Glaive are amazing for this. Switch Axe, obviously, you see me using here. I'm doing a lot of zero-sum discharges. So go ahead and hit him in sword mode until your sword is heated up. And go ahead and use your clutch claw and press the X and A or whatever button combination it is on either your console and PC. And let it rip. Otherwise, if you're using any other sort of weapon, sword and shield or dual blades, you're going to have to focus more so on hitting his chest until he falls down on the ground and then attacking him that way. But that's really hard. I'm not saying it can't be done. It can absolutely be done. But it will not help you get the head broken nearly as easily as using Zero Sun on the Switch X. And I've got my cat using the shield tool. It's not necessary, but in a lot of cases, he'll drop that little shield stooge thing, and I'll just start attacking that, and that'll give you a lot of pretty good opportunities to at least zero-sum the chest, and then depending on what attack it is, go ahead and zero-sum the head. Mantles, I brought Temporal Mantle, Rocksteady Mantle. I also brought a couple points of Tool Expert as well, just to shorten the cooldowns on those, just so I can, again, more safely and more consistently get zero-sums off. Okay, so it's been a couple minutes. If you've been struggling to even get to SOS, that's essentially the strategy you want to do. At this point, if you're doing the storyline quest, you can be saying, hey, get on over in the tent. Go in the tent. You're safe in here. You can sharpen, you can heal, you can take Might Seeds and Might Powder to go ahead and buff yourself up. This gets us to the 2nd phase. This is where the majority of our Siege weapons are now available to us, so we've got a cannon right over in that corner there. You see it right there. Sometimes you're able to use it. You get the roaming ballista, which do not ignore the roaming ballista. This thing does insane damage. And you've got two choices with it. You can either use it to deal a lot of damage by hitting him in the chest, or you can use it to deal pretty good damage and attack his head. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate using it on the head, on the assumption that, you know, you're not really worried about getting speed clear times right now. You're more or less worried about just getting clears in general. Of course, like I said, it's very important for the third phase. Getting that head break helps so much. He deals so much less damage. And so I tenderize the head. Roaming ballista does actually do some sort of real damage to it, so you do want to tenderize it. It does deal slightly more damage. I'm going to use the one-shot bind here. You don't need to. It's not necessary. That's unfortunate that I got hit. If you were in a group, you can actually coordinate with your friends. Doing this quest with 1 or 2 people, I feel, is like easiest. Doing it with 3 or 4 people, kind of hard. You don't have nearly as many carts available to you. And we're going a little bit easier on ourselves. Okay, so we've drained it of ammo. I can see here that he's unenraged. He's on all 4s. If we're lucky, we'll be able to get a wall bang off. Hey, here it is. And again, that does pretty significant damage to the head. You know, that's over 1,000 damage, or some sort of multiplier. I don't know exactly if that's multiplied or not in terms of part breaking, but it does do really, really good damage. I am low on healing here. This is a quest that will absolutely drain you of your healing resources, be they max potions or mega potions. I get teased in my Twitch. Twitch.tv/SDShepherd. Watch the stream to just support me in every way. Just go over there and watch. Helps a lot. I get teased all the time about my max potion IV drip, and it is true. We are in an IV drip in this quest. Okay, so our mantles are back up. Probably going to go ahead and try and get a little bit more charge on our weapon. And then go ahead and probably be able to get the horn break. We've done a pretty good job on hitting the head in every opportunity we've had. So Zero Sum is a pretty brain-dead attack. I kind of hate it, but on this quest in particular, not only is it effective, but it's not super safe. You need to have some knowledge of Fatalis' attack patterns to do it without eating every single hit that he has. So when he shoots fireballs, expect that they'll normally come out in 3s. Likewise, sometimes he'll have a supercharged fireball. You'll know it when you see it. You can always end your Zero Sum just a little bit early to avoid that. So we got our head break. That means the rest of the quest, I'm not going to say is free. The final phase is still extremely scary. But now we don't have to worry too much about getting obliterated by him in that phase. Probably 1 or 2 more Zero Sums will trigger the countdown for the final phase. Let's see. At this point, if you've got the 1 head break and you're not super worried about getting the full head break, which you would only really do if you were really trying to get a lot of his rare material a lot faster, you can kind of go for the chest. It's really safe. There's really few attacks that'll get you. Okay, so at this point, we want to go ahead and run behind the barrier. Go ahead and pull the lever. And same deal as if we were in the tent. You can go ahead, heal up, sharpen your weapon, use any other various buffs that you want to use. All right, this is going to be our second binder right over here. I'm probably going to hold on to it for the roaming ballista. It is absolutely not necessary. You can use it right away if you want. That attack there is a little bit like Luna's aura, in that if you chain Superman dive away, you can survive it. Of course, that requires you to have your weapon sheathed. You don't have your weapon sheathed, and you can't get behind one of those pillars, you'll die. And obviously, I did that just to show you exactly what it's like. Of course, obviously done purely for tutorial reasons. Look, it's a hard fight, okay. And look, we've activated Fortify. Look how valuable this tutorial has been for you. Gonna go ahead and restock again. If you're back in base camp, you may as well. Gonna eat as well. My general choice is to eat for elemental resistance. If I wanted to take the time to do so, I would specifically pick out Rider, which is 4 red. And then sometimes I'll pick Acrobat, which I think is 2 light blue. Not necessary. But if you're going to try and go for a ride, Rider can help shave off a couple mounting hits. And mounting him in this final phase is pretty nice. Obviously, anything you can do to get free chunks of damage down on him is always extremely helpful. So flamethrower attack, he does telegraph that pretty heavily. I pretty much am gonna Unga, like, just smash my way through that every single time. The smart thing to do is to try and go on the opposite side of him, so he won't blast you with it. I'm just telling you now, I'm gonna, like, max potion my way through all of it. So just get used to that. That attack here, he leaves his head exposed for you to attack, but you have to be extremely careful. Right where he leaves his head, he also will end up dropping an explosive. You can see it right there, and it'll explode on you. These attacks here, I feel like, are just a waste of time. I have seen some people die to them, but even if you're like on the far end of the screen and you have to run through the whole thing, usually you will not end up dying. So this is the part where I was talking about how Zero Sum, in my opinion, has some skill in that knowing when to stop matters. So I could have gotten hit by his ground pound there, and then he probably would have gotten me with that flamethrower. Probably would have died. Don't get me wrong, I'm not extolling the mastery of Zero Sum Discharge. Just saying, it's you can't sleep during the quest. Yeah, there we go again. Now here's where the IV drip starts. We see the Dragonator's about to come up. Usually roaming ballista is not that long after that. So I'm going to go ahead and try and get a mount off here. Mounting him is a little interesting. I could have demonstrated it slightly better. The main thing to point out is he will do certain moves based on what part of his body you're on. So if you're on his tail, he'll wiggle his tail. If you're on his head, he'll sometimes try and attack you with his head. If you're on his body, he does a charge move. So normally you get your mounts fastest by attacking the body, but you have to be really careful because unlike usually when you're able to move to a different part, when he does that, you have to brace. So So just be aware of that. If you're on the back, you're going to have to be bracing quite a bit. So maybe consider jumping down to the tail and then bracing there and then waiting for him to do that tail attack there in order to trigger the actual mount finisher. But it's a pretty long down. I mean, it's a long enough down to get almost 2 full combos. So I feel like it's pretty worth it. Again, especially in this final phase here. Honestly, I could have gone for the chest. Chest probably takes almost as much damage tenderized with that fire mode up. I'm not going to beat myself up, though. That was still, like, fine. There's that super powerful fireball there. All right, so we're getting to the Dragonator. This part sucks. I'm just going to be honest. Like, getting to the Dragonator, getting him to the Dragonator. This is awful. There's probably some sort of tech I could use with my cat in terms of taunt or something that might force him to want to run over. I don't know. It's like 6,600 damage. Something like that. It's a lot of damage, so it's definitely worth it. This part here I almost want to skip. This is just bad. He just decides to fly. He doesn't go down. I don't use the binder. I should probably just use the binder and hit him with it now. Don't do what I'm doing. It's so bad. Other weapons that are good. Insect Glaive, like I said, was pretty amazing. The bug's able to consistently hit the head. You're able to use your Insect Glaive itself to like jump above him fairly often. Some people said mounting felt inconsistent. You know, it is awkward using the Insect Glaive and having to do the attack rather than just from jumping spot to spot. So that is something to be aware of. Okay, so we got the binder. Easy bind. We've got the roaming ballista. Just take a look at this damage. 84 shot on the chest. Now, I don't hit every single shot. But if I did, I mean, that's 8,400 damage. And that's, from what I understand, that's more than 10% of his health. And that's in the final phase. That would technically be more damage than the Dragonator. So if you're wondering whether heavy artillery is worth using or not, there you go. And you can do that in the first phase too, or the second phase if you want. If you're just looking for damage, you don't care about getting the head or what have you. Get a little screwed by the way he fell there. Kind of bad. At this point, there's nothing left to do. I don't know if the roaming ballista would even appear again. There are normal ballista shots. You do see that I picked some of them up. They're only like really worth using if, you know, he's gone to the other side of the screen. He's attacking somebody else and you're able to like get some shots off on the body. You can get like 700, 800 damage off if you're lucky. There's a debate whether you should bring raw damage or dragon damage. My feeling in general is if you are clearing your quest for your first time, you're in your special assignment, you've got 5 cards, you're still learning it, you might have safeguard or insurance. I feel like the raw damage scales better. If you have Fortify, that's going to get boosted, whereas your elemental damage is not going to get boosted. It's going to stay the same. All right, that's Fatalis in about 20 minutes or so. I think my best time is like around 18 minutes. I think with practice, probably get it under 15 minutes. You know, best players in the world, TAs, sub 10? Probably. I could see sub 10. I don't know. There's so much time wasted from like, you know, fire breath attacks and stuff like that, that you don't even really have nearly as many opportunities to speed it up as you would normally think, right? So he's got to do at least the 2 fire breath animations, and then he just flies around the arena doing his other fire breath in other areas. So kind of hard to say. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to check out the armor and the weapons, which are really, really good. Also going to go ahead and remind you, why not check out twitch.tv/SDShepherd. Streamed it live. Somebody said that I was the first streamer to clear it. Definitely not the best, but one of the luckiest. Hard to say. Okay, so set bonuses. First one for the 2-piece, pretty interesting. Something called Inheritance gives you all skill secrets. Maximum Might, Heroics, Agitator, Divine Protection, Tool Expert, all those things you can now max out to your heart's delight. But the real biggie, and the thing that will finally topple that Master's Touch meta's Transcendence. Gives you True Razor Sharp or True Spare Shot, which is just disgusting. Maxes out your health and stamina, meaning you no longer need vitality. And technically, you never even... You don't need to eat. Obviously, you would still eat for either the attack or the elemental bonus plus the food skills. But your health and stamina are always maxed out, saving you a little bit of space there. Okay, as for the armor pieces themselves, it's really the sort of thing where they want you to be flexible. The head gives you optionally 3 points of guard. I think the alpha version's not going to be used that often. Outside of, unless you're absolutely going for 5 points of guard, or maybe 3 points of guard on Charge Blade or Lance, you might see it then. Otherwise, the beta gives you 3 points of stun resistance, basically for free, as well as 3 level 4 slots. That is really good. Chest, you'd go with the beta all the time. It's going to be 1 point of weakness exploit, along with like basically a free point of evade window. Arms, with True Razor Sharp, and I'm assuming you're going to be using the full set, you would almost never use the alpha. I don't really see any use for those points of handicraft, so go with the beta on those. The Tacit, you're going to kind of have a choice between alpha and beta. I went with the alpha for now. Technically, if you've got really good decos, the beta isn't bad, but the way I feel, I'm going to be maxing out Crit Eye, I'm going to be maxing out Weakness Exploit anyways, and those 2 level 3 slots are really nice, really flexible. Like, especially if you're using, like, Spread Heavy Bowgun, like, that's going to be nice. Legs, just the 1 point of evade window. It's free, but it's really, really good. Let's take a look at the weapons. They all more or less follow a similar trajectory, so they end up being somewhere around 350 True Raw, which is almost 30 points higher than what you would normally see on like an upgraded attack-focused Safi weapon. Minus 30% of affinity, 2 level 4 slots, a little bit of dragon. High Elder Seal. Hunting Horn, good song list, attack up large. This is the set list I think most Hunting Horn players enjoy. At least it's attack up large. Gunlance ends up having normal 7. Interesting. Will probably force a lot of Gunlance players into using a sweep slam style, or maybe just a sweep style, because God knows that's tons of damage. Switch Axe ends up getting Power File, which is good. Charge Blade ends up getting Impact File, which for that little dragon is good. It'll be interesting to see it being used. I mean, on some things that are heavily raw weak, I'm sure we'll see it used a lot. Insect Glaive has Spirit and Strength boost, which is great. That's what you really want. Light Bowgun, haven't quite figured it out yet. It's got some rapid shots, which are good. It looks like it has enough shots that you could use it for spread 3 for sure. You'd likely be able to get that down to normal 2. A recoil plus 2, a recoil plus 1. I did do the math, so we're going to go ahead and skip over to the customizations for the heavy bowgun. So this actually disgusts me. So this is the Fatalis heavy bowgun. 8 spread 3. Recoil +1, fast reload, +1 close range. Obviously, you could sacrifice some recoil or some reload, probably the reload, and have a scope as well. Plus, we've got a set that gives us true spare shot, and you fit whatever skills you want in there. Disgusting. Here is a setup that I've made, just so you can kind of see what sort of things you could put together with this. This is what I've been using to farm Fatalis a little bit. Has a lot of those skills that I talked about. The fun part about this set is you can kind of do whatever you want. You know, you don't have to follow this at all. If you don't like Agitator, you can drop it. This does end up giving us 95% affinity with Agitator on a tenderized weak spot, which is fine. I mean, that's good enough. 95% affinity with a 350 raw weapon. Yeah, I'll take it. No problem any day of the week. Augments on that are health, affinity, and element. All right, so that's pretty much it for now. If this guide helped you in any way, again, I'm going to just chill it one more time. Twitch.tv/SDShepherd. Stream every day of the week. Almost always Monster Hunter. Really looking forward to Monster Hunter Rise. Hope to see you guys then for that. Otherwise, until next time, good luck and have a good hunt.